In the 2000s, Harry Potter was a global phenomenon. Each new release saw crowds of book lovers flock to grab their copies of the latest adventure of the boy wizard.
The films were catching up slightly, but certainly the books were still the big thing, and the book launches.
While the American versions of the books kept the same cover artist throughout the series, for the UK editions, the ones we also got here in Australia, several artists were used. The final 3 books in the series were illustrated by artist Jason Cockcroft.
And I'd worked with Bloomsbury, the publishers, on a couple of picture books, I think, so I had a good relationship with them. And when they were looking for a new illustrator, they just came to me or went to my agent.
I caught up with Jason to talk about art and his time in the wizarding world.
We had answer machines. I think I got a message on my answer machine from the agent, and she just said, "Got a job for you, and you're going to want to do it." Okay. For some reason, I just thought, well, the only thing that she knew I'd probably want to do is the Harry Potter books. And yeah, it was. But it had to be turned over very quickly as well. It was a weekend that I worked on it. And so I had to do it in about 2 days, The Order of the Phoenix. So that took a lot of pressure off me, I think, because it was so quick. And I sent it in. The only thing that they wanted me to change was the background, because I'd used a more of a watercolour background, and they wanted a solid colour in the background. And so they sent it back, and then I spent another day doing the solid colour, and that was it. So it was quite intense work, but it was the easiest job I'd ever had, to be honest, because there were no real notes. Everybody was under pressure, but they also knew exactly what they wanted, and that's the kind of best sort of job. Obviously, there was the other book covers, so I knew, what had gone before. I didn't know I was going to get subsequent books. I thought it was just a one-off. Yeah, thankfully they asked me to do the next one, which I really enjoyed.
The next book, the first of Jason's to feature Harry himself, presented new challenges.
Getting the age right was a little bit tricky. I think I did a few different roughs of his face, but as soon as that was approved, that was fine. I did him in his gowns and his robes, and I painted it in his robes. But then when they were in touch with the author, a few things had changed, and she wanted him just to be in a bit like what I'm wearing now, just a black sweater. And so I went down to London and literally sat in the publisher's office repainting that. That was quite nerve-wracking because I don't particularly enjoy drawing or painting in front of people. So yeah, I think there was J.K. Rowling on the phone to one of the editors telling them what needed to be changed, and I was kind of painting it. But the third one, that was a bit more tricky. In normal jobs, you're given the manuscript for the book, and in these jobs, you just weren't. There was an embargo on the manuscript, so the only person who'd read it was the editor. And so all I got were very specific notes, maybe a sentence from the book, and then some notes from the editor about, how a character should appear and whatever. And so I didn't know what was going on in any of the scenes. I think the notes for the characters, especially the boys in the last one, which surprised me, is that they needed to look bigger and taller. And the note was around the princes, William and Harry at the time, because they'd kind of shot up quite quickly, and they suddenly looked like rugby players. The author wanted them to look bigger and older. And that surprised me, because I didn't see Harry Potter as much of a jock, really. Obviously in the films, he just carried on being normal. So yeah, that was tricky. And that was probably the most complicated illustration as well, because of all the detail of the coins and the gauntlet and the helmet and things like that. I think that's my least favourite image-wise, because I'd have preferred the last book to be quite a dark, sinister kind of cover, and more emotionally kind of resonant and, more of a confrontation. But I think they wanted to have the 3 characters on the cover, which they hadn't had before, you see. Because back then as well, they were doing the adult covers, which were more photographic and digital. And I think they wanted more of a difference, a contrast between the 2 covers, so that the adult covers were gloomier and moodier. And I think that last children's cover was brighter and not comedic, but there's an element of kind of comedy in the poses there. Yeah, people will, if they know me, they'll know me for those jobs. But at the same time, they don't feel like anything personal to me, because one, it's part of this huge book series. And so, when you saw it on the side of a bus or you saw them on big posters, I didn't really feel that's my artwork. I mean, there are details that you get wrong sometimes. And actually with one of the Harry Potters, I got the scar on the forehead wrong. I put it too central, and it's over his right, just over his right eye. But again, the editor did notice that. It's not exactly all my fault.
Jason's style is ever-changing, and his work today is vastly different to his work on the Potter books.
I'm not looking for a individual style. I love black and white work, I love pen work, and my recent work has gone back to what I was actually doing when I was a teenager. It doesn't help you in the short term, really, I don't think, because publishers really want to be able to identify you with a certain style. And so if they have a book in mind, they have a text or a manuscript that's come in, and they want to think, yeah, that style would fit that. But the thing that it's helped me with is that it's given me a long career because I can adapt and change. And so when the kind of realistic, what used to be called kind of a lyrical children's book style that I had in the 90s and the noughties, when that went out of fashion, I changed my style then and moved in a different direction. Yeah, thankfully, in the last few years, I've been able to work in styles that I do love and I do find really interesting, but I'm always going to change style. I'm always going to adapt because I think I haven't got a lot of kind of concentration or patience, and I get bored very easily.
Jason's advice for aspiring artists is simple.
Really, really try to enjoy what you're doing. Because one, if it's successful, you're going to be doing it for the rest of your life. so enjoy it. And two, it is visible in the work when you're really enjoying something. And if you've got a real passion for something, your enthusiasm and your passion for something will generate in the work itself. So yeah, it will get noticed.